This is Philadelphia Eagles Now. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for being here with us. And it's an exciting day for the Birds and all 32 teams across the NFL, as well as other fan bases out there, because today is the day in which all teams had to trim those rosters down to 53 players. So on today's show, a look at the initial Philadelphia Eagles 2023 team. We'll also take a look at all of the players they let go as well as part of roster cutdown day. Before we get started, though, subscribe to the channel. In my humble opinion, we're giving you some great Eagles analysis here on the program. So show us some love back. And if you want to become a smarter Eagles fan and take in content every day that's informative, insightful, and entertaining with live shows, watch parties, and videos like this, the season is here, ladies and gentlemen. Get geared up for the regular season with us, Philadelphia Eagles Now. Please subscribe today. So you first look at the Philadelphia Eagles cuts today, and these are all players who were either cut, waived, released, and we begin. It's going to go alphabetical order here. Wide receiver Devin Allen. I thought he had an opportunity to maybe make this team. Would really like to see the Olympic trackster come back to the Eagles practice squad, because if they need help at special teams, especially at that return spot, Devin Allen showed in that final preseason game with that 73-yard kickoff return to start that football game that he does have that elusiveness and that speed to get out to the perimeter and really flip the field. Eagles also moving on from linebacker Quentin Bell, quarterback Ian Book, running back Kennedy Brooks, defensive tackle Robert Cooper, wide receiver Britton Covey. So I thought that Covey was going to make this team just because I thought Philadelphia really liked him. Maybe he comes back to the practice squad, and he's one of those game day elevations if they need that punt returner. Mekhi Garner let go, Julian Good-Jones, wide receiver Jaden Hazelwood, and defensive end Taron Jackson. We don't stop there. We keep it moving. And some of these players we've been talking about over the last couple of days, as soon as we heard that information of these players that were let go, we did relay that news. But, of course, a lot of people are coming across this for the first time. Tight end Tyree Jackson, linebacker Kyron Johnson, wide receiver Johnny King, linebacker Tyreek Maddox-Williams, safety Tristan McCullum, Nicholas Morrow. I even said here on the show, he's on the hot seat, could be a surprise cut. He has been let go. Wide receiver Joseph Nagata, would love to see him come back on the practice squad. Janarius Robinson, Tyrese Robinson. Brady Russell is a practice squad candidate. He had a pretty good training camp. Olamide Zaccheaus, cut by the Eagles today. Caleb Saunders, cornerback Josiah Scott, who stepped in for Avonte Maddox at the end of last year when Maddox went down with that toe injury. Josh Shills let go. Aaron Sipos, see ya. We never want to see you again. 38 out of 40 as far as punters last year. Atrocious. And helped cost the Eagles the Super Bowl. I love my Aussies. I don't love Sipos. Freddie Swain, Ben Van Sumeren, Kayvon Wallace, Greg Ward, and Marvin Wilson rounding out the bevy of cuts made by Howie Roseman and this front office. So with that, there are two big questions here. Who is the returner for this team? Who is the punter? The punter situation could be this. You sign one to the practice squad, and then on game days, you elevate them to the 53-man roster, and then you drop somebody else down to make room for that punter on the 53. For the return spot, the returner very well might not be on this team. It might not even be somebody who the Eagles bring back to the practice squad who they originally had. They might scour the waiver wire, look at a guy like Trent Taylor, the Cincinnati Bengals, somewhere of that kind of category or somebody of that ilk who Philadelphia can bring back and upgrade that return game. Olamide Zaccheaus is another player who does have return experience. Look out for that name as well. But either way, two big questions for the Eagles less than 2 weeks away from the start of the regular season in Foxborough against the New England Patriots. So with that, we tee up our poll question for today's show. Which roster cut do you disagree with? Mekhi Garner might be up there. Greg Ward for some. You drop me a name and let me know for yourselves down in the comment section. Real John shirts are available because if you're a real John, you're a real one. And if you're a real one, you're a real John. Get them right now, chatsports.com/realjohn. We'll put those links in the comment section and in the description of this video. Available in Kelly Green as well as black with that old school Eagles text for when the Eagles originally wore those Kelly Green jerseys. If you want to support the show, support the Birds, and be a true Philly Bull, the Real John shirts are where it's at. With that, we now shift gears to our initial 53-man roster for Philadelphia. 3 quarterbacks making the club as I predicted. Jalen Hurts, Marcus Mariota, and Tanner McKee. Before it's all said and done, could McKee be QB2 over Marcus Mariota? We will see. At running back, it's the 4 that I thought were going to make this club. Kenneth Gainwell, DeAndre Swift, Rashaad Penny, and Boston Scott. I think for Philadelphia here, it's going to be running back by committee. And as I've said over the last few months, I like the semblance of talent on this Eagles team at that running back position. Jonathan Taylor going back to the Indianapolis Colts, by the way, as of today. Wide receivers, only 4 right now, but I was talking with producer Chip before the show. We don't imagine this is going to be the case on opening day. You just simply have to have more wide receivers who are active and just on this team in general. Right now, A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, Quez Watkins, and Olamide Zaccheaus. But if one receiver gets hurt, you're screwed on game day. I know Philadelphia is going to operate with a lot of 12 personnel, 2 tight end sets, but still need another wide receiver, I would imagine. To tight end, Philadelphia making a trade today for Albert Okwuegbunam in a move with the Denver Broncos. They sent away a 7th-round pick. Full breakdown of that trade available right here on Eagles Now. We talked about it right after it happened. I like it. 6'5", 260 pounds, ran a 4.49 40-yard dash in the pre-draft process. Covered him in high school. Great kid, great character. Hasn't necessarily translated his game from Missouri to the NFL level, but with Philadelphia has an opportunity to do that. The other tight ends, I had said on that show because we weren't sure at the time, what does it mean for Jack Stoll, as well as Grant Calcaterra? Howie Roseman did confirm the Eagles will have 4 tight ends on this 53. Again, another sign they might have a lot of 2 tight end sets. Offensive line, your starters from left to right, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelce, Cam Jurgens, and Lane Johnson. Probably still the best starting offensive line in the NFL, although Isaac Seumalo has been mauling cats in Pittsburgh throughout the preseason. And then you have your backups. You have 2 kind of swing tackles in Tyler Steen and Jack Driscoll, which I like. Tyler Steen can also pivot inside to play guard. Sua Opeta, a backup guard. Fred Johnson, your backup tackle. You don't really have a backup center traditionally on this team, but remember, if Kelce were to get hurt, Cam Jurgens can slide in there. 9 total offensive linemen making the 53. Philadelphia is so stacked along the defensive line, as evidenced by the defensive tackles, but also, as we're about to show you, the defensive ends and outside linebackers. Defensive tackle first, Fletcher Cox, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, going to get a lot of the playing time at defensive tackle. What a great problem to have. And then after that, Marlon Tuipulotu, Kentavious Street had been said to impress a lot of people. Go back and watch the breakdown of when the Eagles signed him. I told you, he can play, and he's going to be a quality depth piece for him to make this team. Eagles coaching staff really likes him. And then Moro Ojomo, 7th-round pick, a rookie, very young as a football player. For him as a 7th-round pick to make this team along this defensive line, shout out to Moro. Outside linebacker, edge rushers, defensive ends. You have Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith, Derek Barnett, and Patrick Johnson. BG and Josh Sweat, your traditional 4-3 defensive ends. Hassan Reddick, Nolan Smith, Patrick Johnson, your traditional outside linebackers. And Derek Barnett, one of those traditional 4-3 ends. He makes the team right now. He did request a trade with his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, to a team where he could play a little bit more. But Jeff McLean saying today, and I talked about this on a YouTube short, go check that page out as well, right here on the YouTube channel, that the Eagles do have a plan for Derek Barnett, about 12 snaps or so per game, unless they get blown away by an offer. Off-ball linebacker, I was squarely hitting the nail on the head with this one. I had said, I think Philadelphia is going to go with 3 off-ball linebackers here and go heavy nickel because Sidney Brown and Terrell Edmonds can play in the box, and that's exactly what Philadelphia did. Nakobe Dean, Zach Cunningham, Christian Ellis. I think these 2 here are going to be your starting inside linebackers with Dean wearing the green dot. If an injury happens, gets a little bit sketchy, but you can go to the free agency market to try to fill that void. Christian Ellis, an awesome offseason for him. Cornerbacks, Eli Ricks makes the team. Mario Goodrich makes the team. Philadelphia is now sneakily stacked at depth for corner and then having young guys who can play. And again, myself, producer Chip, we were talking about this before the show. Remember the days when the Eagles could not draft, develop, find a cornerback? Now it's an embarrassment of riches is really what it is. Darius Slay, James Bradbury, one of the top cornerback tandems in the NFL last year. That continues to be the case. Avonte Maddox in the slot. And then you have the young Kelee Ringo, the young Josh Jobe, young Mario Goodrich, and Eli Ricks, one of the highest graded defensive backs, according to PFF, throughout the preseason. What a story for him. Number one corner coming out of high school. Undrafted free agent after leaving Alabama, member of the Philadelphia Eagles in year one. Safety. Eagles go with 4, as I predicted here. I think the only players I got wrong on my final 53, I had Siposs maybe making it. I had an asterisk next to him because I didn't think he was good enough to make the team. And then I had Britton Covey making the team too. So those are 1 or 2 that I got wrong. The safeties, though, Reed Blankenship, Sidney Brown, Terrell Edmonds, Justin Evans. Reed is going to start. Who's going to be the other starter? We will certainly see. That is fascinating. And then your specialists, only 2 right now. You have Jake Elliott and Rick Lovato. No punter making the 53. The Eagles are going to work punters out from everything that I've heard over the next couple of days. Look to sign one, and then even if they sign one, could be the practice squad, and then a game day elevation when the games come around to kind of give you some roster gymnastics there. So get those pens out. Grade this Eagles initial 53-man roster on that scale of 1 to 100. This is a Super Bowl contending team right here because that roster is stacked. Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, that front office and coaching staff doing a great job. If this team can stay healthy, they're going to be in the mix once again.